Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because as expected in my last video, we reached up to this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 62 and 62.7K for the Bitcoin price. And after that, we started chopping sideways in this Fibonacci golden pocket here. However, right now on the lower time frames, it looks like this is getting rejected. Although I would say, unless there is some kind of major news event, I'm still expecting the Bitcoin price to basically keep chopping sideways here. Even if it actually undercuts these lows, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to go much lower after that in the immediate short term. So I'm talking about this specific weekend here, because just taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, basically on weekend, Bitcoin likes to grab liquidity to the downside and to the upside. Now, in the case that you're not familiar with this chart, basically the simple version is that Bitcoin gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. And right now, for example, there's some liquidity at 61.5K, roughly speaking. So that liquidity is sitting about right here. And therefore, if you would see a move to the downside here, yes, it would undercut these lows, but it would basically just take out all of these long positions here and then potentially reverse back to the upside to chop around some more, potentially grabbing that liquidity to the upside as well. Because as you can see here, there is also liquidity all the way at 62.5K up to 62.9K for the Bitcoin price. And therefore, over the weekend, we should continue to expect a move like this, where we are just chopping sideways unless we get some major news event that really shocks the market here. So now let's talk about next week for Bitcoin here. In my recent videos, I talked about some bullish signals to look out for. For example, a break of this trend line. That would be a first bullish confirmation. So we have seen that first bullish confirmation now. And after that, we of course saw this continuation to the upside as well. And the second bullish confirmation would be a break above 62.7K for the Bitcoin price, because I do think that if this happens, then likely we are going higher after that. So that is something that I'm looking out for in this next week, because we would also be bouncing from this big level of support for Bitcoin, sitting between 62.4K and 60,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price, with on these higher time frames, the next big level of resistance being at about 64.3K. And above that, we have this big level of resistance already at 65 up to 66,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. So that is potentially something to look out for over this next week here. However, we first need to see that bullish confirmation that I was talking about earlier. And in the case that we now see a rejection from this Fibonacci golden pocket after the weekend or near the end of the weekend here, then we need to start talking about lower price action for Bitcoin, for example, down to this 59.5K Fibonacci level. And if we lose that as a level of support, I do think it is very likely we are going down much lower for the Bitcoin price after that, because coming back to this higher time frame, it would also mean that we are losing this big level of support as a level of support. So breaking below 59.5K on this chart, the next big level of support below that would already be at 58, all the way down to 56,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. So as far as I'm concerned, that is the bullish case and the bearish case for Bitcoin, and some of the key things that you need to look out for right now in the charts. One last thing that I do think is significant here is the Bitcoin ETF flow table, because on Friday we saw a net inflow from these Bitcoin ETFs. And now the big question is, are we going to see a continuation of this on Monday, or are we going to see another massive outflow here from these Bitcoin ETFs? As I said in my last video, I think the key thing is where we are actually trading when the market opens. So if we are trading above this Fibonacci golden pocket, I think it is more likely that we are going to get inflows and a continuation to the upside. However, if we are trading below, then I think it is more likely that we are going to get a continuation of the outflows from these Bitcoin ETFs. Either way, this has been today's market update. Don't forget to go check out the exchanges that I recommend in the video description, because you can probably save a lot of money on trading fees if you just take a look at the links in the video description. Regardless if you do end up checking that out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.